what, that's fine. But the important thing is to be at places like this, to network and leave Johnny alone and focus and say, hey, it's about my future. Innovators, entrepreneurs, problem solvers of the future or future leaders. So, at this point, ladies and gentlemen, allow me, thanks to Coca-Cola, once again, our headline sponsor, allow me to call on stage. We're looking at building South Africa's cellular economy through industry collaboration. I was asking myself, building South Africa's cellular, and I'll get it, is it cellular phone? What is cellular economy through industry collaboration? If you're as curious as I am, Munewari, I got you sorted. Makabo van Niekerk, Executive Director, Pro Alliance, will explain all that. Let's welcome her, please, assembly. Makabo. Makabo. Ke Makabo or Makabo? Okay. Sorry about that.
Dumelang? Langutwa? Okay. It's afternoon already. Let me start by greeting all the CEOs and company representatives that are here, the government leaders and the representatives, fellow PROs, industry partners, supporting partners, the young leaders, innovators, community members, and valued stakeholders. Good afternoon. A special greeting this afternoon to the organizers of the 11th Green Youth Indaba. What a fantastic event you guys have hosted here in Northwest. It is a privilege for me to stand before this gathering of leaders, peers, and young people united by a common purpose, which is transforming the way our world produces, consumes, and recovers resources. Today, I'm bringing to you a short story of collaboration, one that is being advanced through PRO Alliance and its members, Fiber Circle, Medpack SA, Petco, Polyco, and the Glass Recycling Company. Together, these organizations represent the collective commitment of industry to building a more circular, inclusive, and sustainable South Africa. It is a story that demonstrates that the circular economy is not simply an environmental ambition. It is an economic development strategy, a skills development strategy, a social inclusion strategy, and most importantly, a nation-building strategy. As we celebrate Youth Month in South Africa, we are reminded that the choices we make today will shape the future inherited by the next generation. The circular economy is therefore not only about managing resources more responsibly, it is about creating opportunities, fostering innovation, and building a more resilient and inclusive economy. Across the globe, we face similar challenges. Population growth, urbanization, and increasing consumption are placing pressure on natural resources and waste management systems. No single government or company or municipality or PRO can solve these challenges alone. The circular economy demands something fundamentally different from the traditional way of doing business. It requires collaboration, not just conversations about sustainability, but meaningful action across industries, value chains, governments, communities, and customers. And for that, I'm very proud of PRO Alliance members who are truly doing something and not just talking. As PRO Alliance, we believe EPR, which is Extended Producer Responsibility, is much more than compliance. It is a catalyst for transformation. Our vision as PRO Alliance extends far beyond collecting substrates. We are building infrastructure, partnerships, and innovation needed to transform waste streams into valuable resources and to accelerate the transition to a circular economy. We want to create value from waste. Together with our members, we partner with everybody to strengthen recycling systems, to support local recycling industries, to create jobs, entrepreneurship opportunities, and definitely pathways into the green economy. One of the greatest strengths of South Africa's EPR framework is its ability to bring competitors together around a shared objective. Brand owners, producers, retailers, recyclers, municipalities, waste management companies, civil society organizations, and waste reclaimers all become part of a common value chain. Companies that compete in the marketplace understand that collaboration is important when it comes to circularity. This is where organizations such as PRO Alliance create real value. We provide, as the PRO Alliance, a platform for alignment, knowledge sharing, harmonization, innovation, and collective problem solving. Collaboration, we believe, is only meaningful if it delivers results. The progress achieved to date demonstrates the value of industry, government, and stakeholder partnerships. Through the collective efforts of PRO's five members, Fiber Circle, Medpack SA, Petco, Polyco, and Last Recycling Company, together with brand owners and other partners, tangible progress has been made in advancing South Africa's circular economy. Collectively, these five PROs I've mentioned have contributed to the creation of both direct and indirect jobs across the recycling value chain. They have visited countless schools and communities. They have also supported the registration and resourcing of close to 20,000 waste reclaimers across the country, helping to improve participation within South Africa's EPR system. I would like to acknowledge the growing leadership demonstrated by companies like Coca-Cola operating in South Africa. Many organizations represented here today have recognized that sustainability is no longer a peripheral corporate initiative. It is central to business resilience, competitiveness, and long-term growth. South Africa's circular economy story cannot be told without recognizing the thousands of waste reclaimers, young and old, who recover recyclable materials every day. They have indeed been the backbone of our green economy and recycling systems for long. Long before the circular economy became a global policy agenda, waste reclaimers were already practicing circularity. Their contribution to resource recovery, landfill diversion, and environmental protection has been immense. I would like to acknowledge the presence of our regulators and government partners here today. But I would also like to say, PRO Alliance believes that government needs to play a critical role in creating an enabling environment required for success. Strong policy frameworks, regulatory certainty, infrastructure investment, and effective enforcement provide the foundation upon which this industry can innovate and invest. As we gather during Youth Month, it is important that we recognize who will ultimately determine the success of the circular economy. It is not only the policymakers in this room. It is not only the CEOs, regulators, or industry leaders. It is the young people who will design the products and packaging of the future, develop new recycling technologies, create circular businesses, influence consumer behavior, and lead the environmental movements of tomorrow. To the young people joining us today, I want to share a simple message. The environmental sector is no longer a niche field. It is one of the greatest economic opportunities of our generation. Pro Alliance, together with Fiber Circle, Medpack SA, Petco, Polyco, and Lice Recycling Company believe that South Africa's circular economy cannot be built for young people. It must be built with young people. This is why collaboration between industry, government, educational institutions, and stakeholders is so important. Together, we must create pathways for skills development, innovation, entrepreneurship, and meaningful participation in the green economy, because the future of circularity depends on the leaders that we empower today. Let us strengthen partnership. Let us invest in innovation. Let us support inclusive growth. Let us measure outcomes and not merely intentions. And let us ensure that the transition to a circular economy benefits all members of the society. South Africa's journey is an important lesson for everybody. When industry collaborates, when government enables, when communities participate, and when young people are empowered, real transformation becomes possible. The circular economy is not the responsibility of a single sector. It is the responsibility of all of us. Together, we can move beyond a linear economy that extracts, uses, and discards. Together, we can build systems that generate value, protect our environment, create decent work, and definitely unlock opportunities for future generations. To our government partners, thank you for creating the framework for progress. There is, however, still work to be done. There is, however, still more engagements that Pro Alliance would like to see between government and the PROs. To our industry leaders, thank you for investing in solutions. To our supporting partners and potential funders, thank you for recognizing the value of collaboration and the potential of South Africa's circular economy. And to the young people in here and outside the room, the circular energy definitely needs your energy. We need your innovation, your ideas, and your leadership. The future is not something we inherit, it is something that we build together. I want to conclude by addressing young people and informing you guys. Sometimes we think that leaders that are standing in front of us are special or that there's something unique about them. I am from a township in East Rand called Davidton. The township is known for alcohol and drugs. During COVID, when the president was addressing the nation, he would stand there and say, and Davidton people stop drinking. But I want to say it doesn't matter where you come from, you can build something for yourselves. I also want to say to you guys, do not be afraid to knock on doors. All people can ever say is yes or no. I'm sitting here in front and I'm seeing CEOs, I'm seeing influential people. And if I dare you guys, if when you leave here during lunchtime, you come and engage with somebody here, I don't think a Dr. Kishan Singh of Medpack SA is going to say no to sharing knowledge. So please be fearless, be bold, and just know that you deserve more. I need everybody in the room, the young people, remember to dream big. Your dreams must scare you. Your dreams must be audacious. Thank you.
Makabo or Kabo? Makabo. Oh, okay. How's Makabo? Van Niekerk, Executive Director at Pro Alliance. Ish, after tea, my eyes and my brain was a bit mixed up. It's not cellular, it's secular. 'Cause- No, serious, it's secular dating. So building South Africa's secular economy through industry collaboration. Huh. And Umutlwila, at the end, I just loved that message. That actually, one of the things that you are saying there, that it's not no more just a niche thing, that it's for people who care about the environment and they would go on in the seas and hijack some vessels and say, hey, you are spilling oil into the ocean, what. No, 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 no. Green economy is about all of us, because all of us have got to care about our planet, about our environment as well. Then she closes with dream big. Oh, I love that. Did you like that? If you really like that, just tell the person next to you, dream big. Mucho it's the next time. Dream big, dream big, dream big. Hmm? A big green dream, a big green dream. A big green dream. Aha. All right. We're going to go into something different. We've been listening to speeches and speeches after speeches. Right now, it's time to just change things a little bit, and we go into different segments of this. And to help me out in this, now, why did I leave my phone? Okay, it's somewhere there, my brother. Let me get my phone. Guys, I know I'm out of focus. Sorry, I'll keep quiet. The guys, sorry, my brother. Ne? Yeah, they said I must be in focus all the time when I'm over there, because I'm messing up with their television, because we are live on TV, guys. No, serious. We are on CNN. Okay. So you better smile. I hope that you came dressed to appear on TV. Whatever that. So no, and now you just putting on your gown. Some people are very bold. I was at Channing yesterday. Got 12 midday, mutu apere gown. Channing, little mabia. Okay, where is that message? Oh, there we are. Okay. So we go into those panel discussions. The chairs are ready. So what you do as a young person who is focused, you listen in. There's some pens and papers. I don't know how many of you have used those already to note down some highlights, the key things that, oh, I need this and I need to meet so and so. So while they are speaking over there, it will be like you're watching, ooh, now I'm about to reveal my age. I'm trying to find the younger shows. I nearly said Felicia Mabuza Sattler show or Oprah Winfrey show. Okay, it will be like you're watching one of the younger guys. Who's doing young shows, guys? Then you sit down and look. Oh, podcast. It will be like you're watching McG. It will be like you're watching McG, okay, and Saul. At least I know them, you see. It will be like you're watching McG and Saul doing their podcast live on stage. And now, that's where I'm also going to get a break and ask Mr. Ndlovu to ascend the stage. Nhlanhla Ndlovu, training manager at Green Youth Network. Bam Ndlovu, Sondela, Wozala. Yeah, he's going to, so you'll introduce your panelists here. This is your show right now. It is the Nhlanhla Ndlovu podcast. Yeah. Oh, sorry guys. I'm from a village, Madidi. In Madidi, it is a podcast. But when I went to Joburg in Santin, they said, no, it's not a podcast, it's a podcast. So, so it is the Nhlanhla Ndlovu podcast. Let's welcome him, ladies and gentlemen.
All right. Good afternoon, young people. Aware, young people, aware.
Away!
Hola, hola. Thank you very much, Program Director. I won't take too much of your time this afternoon. I am going to introduce our panelists. The goal of this conversation here is that if you're a young person sitting here today, you're unemployed, you're an entrepreneur, you're looking for opportunities within the circular economy, we are looking at practical ways of you accessing this particular opportunities. So, without wasting much time, I'm going to introduce my panelists. First, Dr. Kishan Singh, CEO of MedPac SA. Please give him a round of applause. Thank you. Next, I will call up Shabir Jetam, CEO of the Glass Recycling Company. Then next, I'm going to call up Austin Nenguke, Chief Financial Officer at Polyco. I'd like to also call up Telly Chauke, Chief Executive Officer at Petco. And finally, the last panelist, Dumisani Kumalo, Marketing and Communications Manager at Fiber Circle. Oh, awesome. All right. So, where am I sitting? It is my podcast and I'm in the periphery. Panelists, see all of you. Welcome and thank you very much for this. So, to get us going, Dr. Singh, I want to start with you, sir. I think as young people, we always hear the word circular economy. What does it mean? If we were 6-year-olds, what does circular economy mean?
Thank you. Firstly, it's an honor and a privilege to be here. And I'm very impressed with the organization. So a big round of applause, I think, to Green Youth Indaba for this. Ladies and gentlemen, the question is circular economy. This is, okay, I think Makabo alluded to it earlier. We have come through an industrial revolution from, I would say, 1760 all the way to here. That's about 250 years. What has happened in all that time is industry has grown and grown and grown to become quite a complicated situation, and so did supply chains. Because of that, we have necessitated the need for packaging, okay? Because you cannot have a supply chain without products being packaged. The circularity of supply chains and the economy is all about moving from what the industry used to be, take from Mother Earth, use what you need to do, make what you want, use it, and then trash it back into landfill. That's a linear economy. A circular economy is when you take from Mother Earth, you make what you need, you use it, and then you don't trash it. You don't put it into landfill. You bring the materials back into the production cycle. So that is, in a nutshell, what is the meaning of circular economy. I can go on, but I'm going to stop there.
No, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Telly, I would like to come to you. So, oftentimes, especially when you think about circular economy, recycling, young people usually think about just waste picking, recycling only. I would like us to bust some myths. Please tell us more about your industry. What are some misconceptions that young people have, and what are the actual realities in this industry?
Great. All right. And before I answer your question, good day to everyone here. This is not the picture of EPR. There isn't just one woman in the sector. So I think the demographic of the recycling industry is really representative of the South Africa that you see in this room. There are young people, there are women, there are those of us who are young at heart. We don't look like we are young, but we are young at heart. And I think we bring that energy, certainly. The picture of this industry, and I don't want to call it the recycling industry. I think the picture of circular economy is well understood as value chain. And our primary objective as producer responsibility organizations is to keep the packaging that Kishan speaks about circling or cycling in the economy at its highest possible value for the longest possible time. so that along the value chain, every actor can draw some economic value. And so the part that we are most familiar with on a Thursday morning in traffic are the people who are pushing trolleys with recyclables loaded there. And often we're not very friendly to those ones. But they are the anchor that holds the recycling value chain together, because they collect from households, they collect from landfill sites, they collect from shopping centers along the roads and so on. And so they play a critical cleansing role in terms of our environment, but they also then are after the consumer has disposed, they then draw the first level of value from those materials. These materials are aggregated by buyback centers, which are small to medium enterprises. And this is where we see some level of participation of not only women, but young people as well, is owning these businesses that we as PROs support to aggregate this material, which is then sold on to recyclers. So everybody is drawing value. Ultimately, the goal is that that recycled material is bought back by the producer and converted again into either packaging or other downstream uses like furniture, textiles, etc., etc. So that's the face of this circular economy value chain based model that we run as PROs. Unfortunately, and I'll speak from a PETCO perspective where we've invested, we see only about 20% of youth participation right along the value chain. And it's because there's this misnomer that it's an unattractive, undignified area of work. And that's the stigma that we need to break. Is that there is value in this work, there's financial and economic value, but there's also justice. There's that good feeling of doing good for the environment, but being able to put food on your table. We invest a lot of our energy and resources in terms of graduating people up the value chain. My dream, that scares me a little bit, Makabo, sometimes, is to see young people becoming industrialists. Not just waste pickers and aggregators, but actual recycling capacity being developed by young people. And I hope that those of us who are in this room here are going to put our energy towards that.
Awesome. Woo. So, ladies and gentlemen, as you can tell, I'm not talking about their PROs, but we're talking about how you can access opportunities in their industries. Dr. Jetam, Mr. Jetam, sorry. I'd like to ask you, show us the value chain. So Telly spoke about a lot about value chains within this particular space, and a lot of young people only see the value chain right at the end of it, which is waste. So what exactly is the value chain, and where are opportunities that young people can actually begin to plug themselves in? And maybe this is not just for you and for other panelists who are able to come on and share with us. Please take notes, young people, because, yeah. Oh, sorry. Yes. I'm sorry. I messed up. Yes, it's for you, sir.
All right. Now, can you hear me?
Please switch on.
Is that better? This one doesn't work. Okay. All right. So I didn't get all of the question because I thought it wasn't for me. But in any case, I think what we need to look at is in terms of the value chain, which my colleague Telly has mentioned as well. People look at recycling and they only look at one aspect of the value chain, which is waste pickers who collect glass or metals or paper or plastics. However, I believe they're integral and critical part of the value chain. But that's only the beginning of the value chain, and that's where it all starts. To give you some perspective on the packaging industry, the South African packaging industry is worth approximately 100 billion rand currently in South Africa. Now that's huge.
Please say that again.
The packaging industry is worth 100 billion rands in South Africa annually. Now, what's very important, the materials that are collected, and it's from the waste picker, it will go to a buyback center. It may go to another middle person. I'm being politically correct, not a middleman, a middle person. There's a lot of women involved in the industry who also play a critical role. Then it will go to the processor or the recycler, and then they will recycle that packaging and paper that's collected into new materials. And what's very important to take note of is, of the 100 million rand, 100 billion rand, my apologies, approximately 1/3 of all the materials that is used to produce new packaging to the value of about 33 billion rand is from materials that is collected from recycling or recyclables. So basically the point I would like to make here is the quantum and the value in the recycling value chain and the circular economy is significant. As my colleagues and Makabo also alluded to, circularity is key, that we make sure the materials come back, because we don't consider our materials as waste, but we consider it as a resource, and especially to the youth out there. Waste collection is a way to getting into the recycling industry, but to our young people, there's so many different opportunities. You can start buyback centers. You can get into industrialization. It's not easy. It's hard work, but we as PROs are prepared to work with the youth as well to bring them into the mainstream of the economy.
Sure. Thank you very much. Also, I'd like to make a note, young people, that I'll give you about 10 minutes to also ask our panelists questions before we end this panel. Austin, show us the money. So if we were to follow a plastic bottle, where is the money? And how can a young person sitting here today get in there?
Okay, thank you for the opportunity, and it's exciting to be here. I think this is my 4th year now of attending Green Youth, and every time you're getting better and better. So thank you guys, excited to be here. Yeah, so I think for me, the first thing we need to start doing is to redefining waste as wealth. I think once you make people understand that waste is actually wealth, that's the first point. Now, in terms of where is the money, there's a value chain which has been spoken about. It starts with the manufacturer, it goes to the consumer. Once it goes to the consumer, hopefully what you don't want is for it to end at the landfill. It's collected by the waste picker, who then takes it to a buyback center, who buys this material. Then once it's bought by the buyback center, it's then taken to a recycler, who then recycles the material, then sells it back to the manufacturer. So that kind of the value chain in terms of how the money is made. So there's certain points in the value chain where the money is made. Okay. Now, I can say, the last 4 years at Polyco, why I say it's wealth, we've invested over 500 million in terms of recycling and collection projects. That's the amount of money we've put in. And I was just Googling, we hear these figures being thrown out, billions, Dr. Sana was talking of billions and all. I did a little search on AI. How long would it take? When you say 1 billion, people don't realize how big that is. So 1 billion, I Googled, and it takes you like 32 years to count as a human being to 1 billion, 32 years. That's how big 1 billion is. So when you talk 500 million, that's a big number we're talking about in terms of investment. So there's lots of opportunities. I think the one word I've heard from most of the speakers this morning was opportunity. So there's a big opportunity in terms of the industry, recycling industry, and the circular economy. I was reading an article from the United Nations Environmental Program. They're talking of projected job creation in the circular economy of almost 11 million in Africa. And that bringing in over 500 billion US dollars in terms of investment. And I think as South Africa, where we sit, we've got a very good base from an infrastructure and the legislation we have for people to really look into it, to say there is big opportunity for us to really take a big slice of that cake, creating those from that 11 million for projected for Africa. There's a big piece South Africa can take because we are way ahead. We've spoken to a couple of PROs from across Africa. We are way ahead in South Africa, and we've got to take that opportunity in terms of making sure we create that well.
Thank you very much. Dumsana, I come to you, my brother. What opportunities are available right now? I mean, you work at Fiber Circle, and I know the work that Fiber Circle does. What opportunities are truly available for a young person today? If a young person sitting here today is unemployed or an entrepreneur, wants to be an entrepreneur and wants to start something on Monday, what opportunities are there for them to access?
Thanks for that. And, good question. Good question. I think, let me take it from the word that you said, entrepreneur. And one of the things about entrepreneurs is that an entrepreneur is someone who, when they see something that we call a problem, they see it as an opportunity. So maybe in answering where are the opportunities, maybe the question is where are the challenges at the moment? You know, I like to use an example at Fiber Circle, we look after paper and paper packaging. Where are the challenges? And I think the colleagues here on the stage also have their own challenges for the different materials that they look after. So if I take paper, we've categorized our material. We've got 7 categories of paper, and we've subcategorized them into 2: difficult to collect and difficult to recycle. And then you've got easy to collect and easy to recycle. So when it comes to difficult, we have challenges. It's hard to collect them. And also a challenge of material that we cannot recycle, or difficult to recycle is the correct word. Difficult to recycle. The challenge to the young people is, how do we recycle the things that are currently difficult to recycle? Some of the reasons why it's difficult to recycle is that we don't have recycling mills that want to take that type of material, for example. Or we have not come up with an innovative way of either recycling, reusing, or refurbishing, or remanufacturing that particular product or that particular type of paper. So by this, I'm trying to say the opportunities don't only lie in the collection and coming up with a buyback center. There are also opportunities in young people that are willing to come in and be engineers and be innovators and come up with new ways of remanufacturing our recycled material. There are opportunities with young people that can come up with a new way of recycling paper that is difficult to recycle. We need those. The industry is crying for those and saying, come up with those ideas. We have brand owners that come to us as PROs because some of their packaging is difficult to recycle. They want to meet their EPR obligation, but the challenge is there's no one who's willing to take this type of, let's say, paper or plastic material, because there's no factory or manufacturer or recycler that is taking it and is willing to recycle it. So they have to look at other initiatives. Sometimes it's exporting it to another country that has the solution. So challenges are in those pockets, and if young people come forward and actually speak to us, there's a lot of challenges that we have, and I'll go back to what I started with. If you're an entrepreneur, look for those challenges in any industry. That's where your opportunity lies, because that is where a company or an industry is going to hire you. They are looking for that person who's going to solve their problem. We are looking for those entrepreneurs who are going to solve our paper problem, where we, as the paper and paper packaging PRO, are struggling. We are looking for a solution of some of our paper categories that we are finding that they are difficult to collect and difficult to recycle. For an example, let me end it there.
Thank you so much. And actually, that's a beautiful segue to the next question that I have, Dr. Singh. And I think from the questions and the conversation that we've been having, I've been looking for some specifics. Could we please put our phones on flight mode? We have been requested to put our phones on flight mode. It's causing interference. So, Dr. Singh, I would like to find out from you, very specifically, what opportunities are not being spoken about? So we've spoken about the opportunities that exist. Young people already know some of the opportunities that are out there. If we think about the organization as a PRO, and in fact, I would like to give it to all of you, starting with you, Dr. Singh. what are the opportunities in your space that are not being spoken about that a young person can practically access in order to create a job for themselves and eventually create jobs for others in their communities and in their spaces?
Okay, that's a good question, and thank you for that. So specifically in the MedPac space, incidentally, Shabir spoke about 100 billion rand operation. That translates to 3.5 million tons of packaging. Roughly, about 10% of that tonnage is metal packaging. When I say metal packaging, I mean the canned food, the tin fish, the shoe polish, the paint cans. Every time you drink a can of beverage, Coke or whatever, that's metal packaging. The opportunities in metal packaging, I can tell you, let me tell you for now that the beverage cans, metal packaging, aluminium packaging, the collection rate in South Africa exceeds 90%. Exceeds 90%. We reported last year to government around 81, 82%. But I know that the fact is the actual number is higher. I just don't have my hands on the data. So the opportunities in metal packaging is the challenges in metal packaging are aerosols. So every time you spray a perfume, an underarm deodorant, you are using a pressure vessel. That's what an aerosol is termed in terms of the OSH Act. The challenge here is to empower the community to understand the challenges with the post-consumer collection of aerosols. So this is a very big challenge in South Africa. And I think there's great opportunity with people understanding and training the masses with the proper use, disposal, and recovery of aerosols. That is one of the challenges at MedPac, but there are many other challenges as well. In Brazil, however, they record a collection rate of 99.8% of not of aerosols, of beverage cans. So why can't we get from 90% to 99.8%? That's another opportunity for people to get into, young entrepreneurs. There's a lot of opportunity in the waste collection space, because it's 3.5 million tons of packaging that is placed in the country each year. And our job, as all PROs here, our job is to report to government on how much of that 3.5 million tons is actually collected. The answer to the question is about 60% anyway.
Sure.
So there's lots of opportunities. Thank you.
Sure. Shabir, what opportunities are not being spoken about in your space?
Well, I'm not going to focus on glass. I mean, I think the brief is to focus on all packaging materials. And South Africa, unfortunately, and I don't want to be controversial at all, looking at our history in South Africa, certain demographics were purely waste collectors, and that needs to change significantly. And I believe as PROs, we need to facilitate that with government and with other stakeholders in the value chain, where we uplift people from waste collectors and get them into true industrialization. And I believe there's significant, I mean, you instead of just of being a waste picker, which is a critical role, but people need to aspire to look at setting up their own buyback centers where we as PROs support them significantly. Within our glass sector, for argument's sake, we've set up hundreds of SMMEs and bigger businesses as well, which turn over significant volume. So we want the youth to also think, it's a much bigger industry than just collecting recyclables. Further on, if you look at your plastic streams, for argument's sake, you can look at pelletizing plants. For other materials, you can look at other facilities as well. You don't have to become a paper mill or own a paper mill. But why can't our youth get there and develop and work themselves through partnerships between industry, national government, and the various stakeholders in the value chain to get the youth to really add value to the recycling value chain? So my challenge out there is, people, there's much more than just looking at collection as a waste collector. We need to think bigger. We need the young minds. Sometimes we guys have been in the industry, like myself, for too long. We don't see the wood from the trees. And there's significant opportunities out there. But I think it'll be good to also speak to the youth and explain what opportunities there are. It's a huge industry. It's a vast industry. So let's look at various areas where we can uplift our youth to greater things.
Wow. Awesome. So my last question, Telly, Austin. You know, I love stories. I think stories give us so much more than many other things. Stories paint a picture for us. They are inspirational. They help us to become aspirational as well. So as Polyco, Petco, sorry. Please tell us at least one story of a young person who may have started as any young person sitting here and is now something big, like what Shabir was saying, who thought big, who was supported by your PRO, and is now doing well for themselves, employing other people. Do you have any such stories? Just one that you can tell us and inspire our young people to actually come to your stalls at the exhibition and speak to you some more and connect with you. I'm putting you on the spot.
Shall I?
Sure, you can go first. You can go
Right.
first, Telly.
Okay. We ladies do like to claim the stage a lot. Can I quickly contextualize?
Sure, please.
Right. Okay, so South African youths make up about 50%, 52% of the population of working age people in South Africa. So we've got about 21 million South African youths who are of working age. About 46% of those youths are unemployed. So it's what, nearly 10 million unemployed. Those that are employed are in below minimum wage earning types of jobs in the service industry and so on. Only 10% of youths of working age are in the manufacturing sector, right? As workers, general workers, that type of thing. So this is people aged between 15 and 34. Entrepreneurship is tracking low amongst our young people at around 20% countrywide. Young people, when they get opportunities for entrepreneurship, it's because they want to make ends meet. It's not the things that they love to do. So for me, when you find that which you love to do, you need help to then do it, right? That means access to capital. That means to the public sector, access to economic infrastructure, water, electricity, land, etc., etc., etc. And so our model at Petco tries to combine a couple of those factors: access to capital, access to infrastructure, access to social and economic infrastructure, and access to markets. Being able to guarantee them offtake agreements from buyers, whether they're buying materials or they're buying a skill or they're buying participation, right? So our ethos is that make the opportunities what is attractive but desirable to young people. And yes, it's still tracking fairly low. And so the example I want to give you is someone who did find dignity in working in the waste sector and decided to innovate. So every year, Petco has annual awards, and I think for the last 12, 15 years, about 60 to 70% of our award winners have been young people, right? Predominantly men, and we're also finding more and more women who are becoming. And so this year we awarded someone who runs a company called, I think it's Jola Brothers, and Joe, you'll correct me in terms of the name of the company. They're out in KZN. And they started with an informal setup for curbside collection. And with our support, they first gained access to trolleys and cages, and then eventually to a trailer, and then eventually to, you know, a vehicle, etc., etc., etc. For me, the passion for that particular young man wasn't really in the collection. It was being able to drive the streets and interact with the people he was collecting from, to such an extent that he extended his collection network outside of the town's limits. onto the national roads, right? And then you find that sometimes the law enforcers are those guys who like to make Friday evenings difficult for us. So, you know, they'll stop you and they want to check your tail lights, etc., etc. So I think for me, the story is how do we create a community of support and enablers, working with local regulators and enforcers, with the public purse to provide that infrastructure, and to also implement or enforce municipal bylaws in a supportive manner so that he isn't stopped for inane things, right? He's stopped because he is in the way of government doing its work, for example. Not stopped while he's in the process of helping government do its work. So for me, that particular case study is that he started this as a passion project. It's yielding returns. I think he's employing over 30 people. And so he didn't set out with the aim of becoming an entrepreneur. He set out with the aim of putting food on the table. And he fell in love with driving the streets and being able to engage with people. But friends, the opportunities aren't only in collections. I think we might have reached the ceiling in collections for a lot of our products. It's where you collect. We're struggling right now to tap into those unreachable areas, rural areas. So perhaps there are young people who are interested in logistics, and they can help us innovate around seamless logistics to get materials out from those areas where, unfortunately, municipalities haven't reached with serviceable roads and disposal facilities. So let's engage as young people with our local authorities and say, if you can't get municipal waste services in there, allow us, open the roads, don't stop us so that we can go in, right? In the manufacturing sector, something that we don't speak enough about is the pre-consumer phase, where producers are designing the product, designing the packaging. Young people are innovative around AI and design and all sorts of tools that I can't even wrap my head around. Help us to design packaging that is recoverable and recyclable so that it can then increase the volume of material that goes through the value chain and out the other end as high value products. That's what I want to say, is that there are opportunities right across the spectrum. It's everybody's role to find and nurture those opportunities. And for us who have lived our youth, I think the biggest opportunity is us not being roadblocks and being regulators and lawmakers and policymakers in the way, but being aggregators of funding, working together. We have an empowerment fund that we're reimagining so that we can get investors in. And so let's work together as a community of funders and design projects that young people can fall in love with and are interested in doing, instead of just expecting that they want to do jobs. I think that for me is the critical message.
Awesome. Austin.
Yeah, I think she said a couple of things I would have probably said, but I think just not to repeat stuff. What I think the young people need to realize, we've got a world-class legislation. So for me, in terms of the industry, it's how we then implement it. Good policy, which creates a lot of opportunities for the young people. I mean, for Polyco to be in existence, you know, it's been in existence since 2011, but we saw a ramp up in terms of the work we do, the investments we do, in terms of the project done once the legislation came into play in 2021. So there's that framework where young people, I think, go out there, be curious, find out what's out there. What is this legislation about? Where are the opportunities for me? Then one now has to decide in which area within that value chain they would want to explore more of the opportunity. That's the first thing. We've got a lot of stories. Like, I mean, I did indicate at the beginning to say we've almost invested over 500 million over the last 4 years in terms of recycling and collection projects. I think you brought one of our guys here, Spoo. That's the one story which came up to my head. Spoo started from the early beginnings. I don't have the exact numbers, but I know he employs almost, I think last time we saw him, he's got almost 80 people he's employing. You know, when he started, he's actually doing his degree, masters in waste management, all of that. So I think we've created a lot of opportunities, and you find within Polyco, the kind of model we've followed also is in terms of we've got funding for large, those are the opportunities we're creating within the Polyco. Just one is to curious, dig into there and find out.
Awesome. I hope you were listening and taking notes. So We are left with only 4 minutes. Like I promised, I will take 2 hands from young people. I see a hand at the back. Do I have any support with the microphone? There's a hand at the back, and then am I seeing any other hand? Okay, there's a lot of hands. Okay, so there's microphone. Right at the back. Please stand up. Actually, my brother with the cap. Thank you very much. And one more hand. One more hand. Can I take this side? Lady with the white jacket. Right there at the back. Please keep your questions short. And then I'll also request that our panelists also keep it short. I don't know who the question is going to go for, but please do take it if feel free to do so. My brother, your name, surname, where you from, and your question.
Good day, and thank you for the opportunity. My name is Sibusiso Shabangu. I'm from Komazi Municipality, that side of Mpumalanga. So I heard you saying that you do have opportunities and you do have money, and you also have a problem. So I'm here to say I do have a solution whereby we say we convert waste plastics, tires into fuel. That is your diesel, petrol, pyrolysis oil, gas, and generation of electricity, which is a huge problem in our country at the moment. And also saying that I'm willing to sit down with you and say, what about we introduce this friend of mine called pyrolysis processes, whereby I've designed my own plant at home, which I use to process tires and plastics. And however, due to regulation, because fuel is highly regulated and government is the one who's major stakeholder around that one. And to get regulation, we speak about millions. So at the moment, I was operating at my backyard. Then I was stopped. After being stopped, and I had to hustle. Yet you are there, and I've been knocking, and
We can't hear you.
I've been knocking, and my project, it has been on SABC News and so on, and I've tried. But however, I've received help from the rural development regarding regulations and environmental impact and also feasibility study. However, right now, I'm looking
my brother.
Yes, sir.
Can I help you quickly?
Yes,
if
sir.
you would allow me. What do you recycle?
Plastics, tires, all those hard materials that they're saying that they do have problem on. I think pyrolysis process is able to reverse that due to high temperatures.
All right.
So I'm willing to say I'm
That's
asking
good.
for funding.
That's good. Thank you very much, my brother. So I think for that, I'm gonna put our panelists on the spot and just say who's gonna raise their hand to speak to you. So I don't think it's a question per se, but he is saying he's struggling. That's what he does, and he needs assistance. Oh,
Thanks for that question, or that scenario, really. And I'd suggest you meet with us offline, and we could work together with you. There's lots of opportunity there. Thank you.
also, just very quickly, so meet Dr. Singh and Telly also raised their hand. So my brother, it's all up to you now. My sister, white jacket, very quickly, please. We have 30 seconds. Go for it. It's your chance.
Is it on? Hi, everybody. My name is Ukamelihlo Kumete, and I'm from KZN. So my question is, I'm a records management and communication science student. So I live in the township, so I get to see and work a lot with governance and community development. My question is related to the green economy project, and is there help in how people are currently documenting and managing their data impact And are you guys like open to creating a bridge where you give communication science or information managers the space to actually help projects, especially like I'm sorry, I forgot his name. So for him to, instead of just come and say we need funding, give him somebody who's going to help him with the compliance. So when the time he comes and asks for funding, all his papers are in order. Because that's a step people miss a lot.
Yeah. Okay. So, unfortunately, two things. My sister, we were not able to hear you properly. But number two, we've run out completely of time. Can I sorry? Oh, she was referring about data. Okay, so Austin is saying, please see Austin from Polyco. Ladies and gentlemen.
Sorry, there's one more opportunity I think we've missed here. It's the opportunity to do research in the post-consumer value chain in South Africa. There's a whole lot of, we keep speaking about challenges, but challenges are opportunities, but research. So those of you who have an academic slant, please see us. There's great opportunities for academic research into buyback centers, location, number of active waste pickers and all of that. So there's a whole lot of room for work here. Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for our panelists. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much. Oh, you can do better than that, young people. For all this information, for all this amazing information we heard, yeah. Thank you so much. And all other panelists, please, as you come and sit over here, make sure, as on belief, that you put your phone on flight mode. Apparently, when your phone is ringing or whatever, it interrupts our network connection and our SABC News. We are not able to flight properly. Thank you so much. Where do we go from here? Our main sponsor, the main Moreki, Coca-Cola Beverages South Africa, they're going to be doing that another panel right now. But before they come on stage, give me an opportunity to acknowledge Letona, la agriculture, Ntate Madoda, ona le rona ke mone mo. So he is with us here, ladies and gentlemen. Where's my other paper? Oh, okay. I wanted to make sure, Uguti, I pronounce your surname properly, sir, because ke Motswana kere, and hard work as Xhosa. Batswana ba re se Xhosa, and I know as ke se Xhosa, Batswana ba haithu. So you must have heard that Ntate Sambatha ba re se Xhosa. O mo Xhosa, Xhosa. So MEC Madoda Sambatha, Northwest Department of Agriculture and Rural Development. Let's acknowledge him with a round of applause. He'll be speaking to us later on. And all other Bomoreki, thank you so much. And I saw the representatives of some Bomoreki that I know, because I do a lot of this kind of things, and I would bump into people at different conferences and different seminars. Last year, I was doing men's conference with the competition commission, and I saw Ntate Sipho Ngwema. If you don't know Ntate Ngwema, I get Mosha. I get to eat ma. I little lona fela. Yo, go Jonas, I little Ngwema, little go Jonas. Okay. The next panel. It's not my show. I'm just coming in. I'm a facilitator, just to bring in people who are going to do these things. It gives me a great opportunity. It gives me a great pleasure, rather, to welcome on stage at this 11th Green Youth Indaba, from youth innovation to green enterprise and economic impact. Masbonge Mzwakali, Head of Regulatory Affairs at Stakeholder Relations, Coca-Cola Beverages, South Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome him now to come and introduce his panelists, and they'll take it from there. I'm sitting next to one of the panelists, Spong. They will call you officially. He's over here. Encourage him, please. Encourage him as he comes on stage. And you want to call them using that mic, or you'll stand there to call your team? Okay. My sound guy, which mic must he use as he calls his team? Any of this? Okay. Yeah. You can either be there and then later be there. Let me just take my papers. Because when I go on iPad, I'm not sure iPaper.
Good afternoon, everyone. Lunch today, so I'm gonna keep it snappy and short. And welcome to what I believe will be one of the most important conversations of this summit. My name is Masibonge Mzwakali. I'm the country lead for regulatory affairs and stakeholder relations at Coca-Cola Beverages, South Africa. And I'm honored to serve as a moderator for this discussion. So the topic for today is, if water runs out, what happens to jobs, industries, and economic stability? And today's conversation is about solutions. It's about what government, business, and utilities, and critically, what young people like yourselves can do to build a water-secured future. So I'm thrilled to call upon my panel leaders who are at the front line of these challenges every single day and who are going to be lending us their experts in this area. And the first person that I will call up is Pindile Mangwana from the Presidential Climate Change Commission. Give him a round of applause. Where's Pindile? Oh, there you go. And the second person that I'll call up upon the stage is Rabosoto Kolokoto from the Department of Water and Sanitation. We also have Sibongiseni Mbadamana, the Chief Operations Officer at Mahalis Water. And finally, we have Wanda Kuchulwa from the Trans-Caledon Tunnel Authority. And give them a warm round of applause again. And thank you very much once again. Pindile, let me start with you, and I'll invite the rest of the panelists to come in right after you. So we hear about the phrase climate change constantly, but I want us to make it real for this audience. How is climate change impacting the already changing South Africa's water landscape? And what does the next decade looks like if we can't do anything about it? Thank you.
No, thank you very much, Program Director, and thank you for this opportunity. And before I continue, Program Director, I would like to acknowledge the presence of our commissioners, Commissioner Thandile Zonke and Commissioner Andile Mlambo, who are present here with us today. And as mentioned, I'm from the Presidential Climate Commission, and we've been set up specifically to advise government on the transition to a low carbon economy and also a climate resilient society. And I think touching on the question itself, what climate change is really doing or causing is that it's making rainfall less predictable, making it difficult for us to tell when we are going to have flood events or when are we going to experience extreme drought conditions or events of severe water scarcity. And the challenges of that are devastating. You know, we've just come from a recent wave of flood events that have impacted, poor communities. They've caused damage to infrastructure. And essentially what this means is an additional cost for government and the fiscus. And essentially what that means is that we cannot afford to still continue not to put measures in place to adapt to the impacts of climate change. So that's around flooding and how flooding, has impacted communities, washing away agricultural produce and impacting, livelihoods on the ground. But on the other hand, there's also issues around drought. We've experienced this in the Western Cape. And, if you think of the agricultural sector on its own, that it consumes about 60% of available water resources. That means that that sector is really exposed and vulnerable to the impacts of climate change. And that in turn, affects livelihoods because these are, mainstream employment creation sectors. It also has linkages to manufacturing industries which rely on sustainable water supply to be able to create jobs and continue economic production. And also, even the lights on here today, there's a need for water as an input into the production process of electricity. So water is really not just an environmental issue, but it's also a socio-economic issue and an economic imperative to ensure that, its sustainable supply is available, in a sustainable manner into the future. So yeah, I think that's where I'd like to leave it, Program Director. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Pindile. That was quite mouthful. And perhaps at this stage, it's important to bring in our colleague from the Department of Water and Sanitation, Rabasoto. So the South African National Water and the Sanitation Master Plan targets a secured water future. So where do we stand right now, and which parts of the country are closest to the edge, and what are the three biggest things the government is doing to pull them back? Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Program Director, and let me greet the House. I see my name there, Rabasoto. They left it.
was the percentage was around 23%, which then forced us to get to a point of reducing the supply to our customers. And you can imagine what does that mean? It means that some industries will need to stop operating or reduce their production, which then has a direct impact in terms of the jobs and also even investment, because you can't have investment if you don't have sufficient water. So those are the real issues. And also, if you have an infrastructure that is prone to breakdowns, it affects everything. I mean, the economy cannot grow if you don't have sufficient water. So those are the issues that are really a challenge at this stage for most of the utilities. And of course, there's a high need of investment in terms of capital injection, because there's a need for refurbishment of infrastructure and also the upgrade of the infrastructure that we are having because of the challenges that I've already highlighted. In terms of what is really keeping us awake is just a fear and a worry that what will break next, because of what I've already indicated, that many of our infrastructure have reached a useful life, but there are plans in place in terms of making sure that we keep up with that demand in terms of those services. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sibongiseni. And talking about infrastructure investment, perhaps it's the right point to bring you in, Wanda. So TCCA manages some of the most critical water infrastructure in South Africa, which took decades to build. So I want to understand from you, what is the economic cost of not investing in infrastructure, and what are the most some of the most exciting projects on the pipeline from your side? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Indeed, TCTA is placed quite well in terms of building, not managing, in actual fact, the biggest infrastructure, water resources infrastructure in the country. We hand over most of what we build to the Department of Water and Sanitation. But the cost, to answer your question directly, the cost of not investing in water, you know, would be quite catastrophic for any country, especially South Africa, because investors consider water as one of the key elements when they are deciding where they are going to invest. So if our water were to be threatened, also our investments would be threatened, and we might also have an issue of internal or even external migration as people are trying to find places that have water, which further disrupts the economy and it disrupts the country politically. So the cost is one that one would not like to test, because it would mean that we do not only fail in what we have, but we also will not be able to grow the economy of the country going forward. So I don't know if you wanted me to talk numbers, but I think because it's speculative, it's also difficult to bring in the numbers. At the moment, the government has, through TCTA, invested tens of billions in the infrastructure that we've built. The Lesotho Highlands Water Project itself, it is now expected that it will cost the second phase over 50 billion to put together that project. We have the Makwapo, which is Mukolo Crocodile River project that you know is being done in Limpopo, which is also costing the country quite a lot to put it together. So I think at some point the Department of Water and Sanitation had done an exercise that says in order for us to invest fully in water, I think the figure that was being bandied about was at 200 billion that we needed to be able to be fully, to have full water infrastructure that is working, that is well maintained, that supplies the country. But I think one of the things, though, that we do need to take a look at is what my colleague had already indicated, that one of the biggest threats to our water resources might not be in investment. It is what we are doing with the water that we have right now. South Africa loses about 40% of its water through water leaks. That is a big danger. And that is something that we can fix tomorrow, but we are not doing that. So it's some of those things that we do need to look at and say, where are we losing the money and how do we plug that hole? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Wanda. I think the issue of non-revenue water that we lose is one of the biggest and most critical issues that we need to attend as a country. And at this stage, I think it's important for us to bring it back to the young people in this room. And Sibongiseni, I'm going to come back to you. What are career skills and opportunities that exist in the water space that young South Africans should know about? And how do utilities like Mahalis create pathways for them? Thank you.
Yes, no, thank you very much, Program Director, for that question. Well, the first point is that I think the water sector is one of the sectors that is under, I would say, which is not really recognized in terms of assisting, in terms of the youth, contributing in it. And I think that is one of the reasons we are really faced with a lot of challenges, because the skills within that space is really critical and it's required. So we have a lot of opportunities in the sector where we require like people that have done engineering, which can be engineers, which will assist in terms of proper planning and also the implementation of the infrastructure that is required. And you also need maintenance engineers, which will assist in terms of making sure that the infrastructure that we already have is properly maintained. And also you need scientists and chemical engineers, process controllers. Those people are the ones that are critical in terms of making sure that the facilities that we already have, they are able to produce what they're supposed to be producing, so that people can be able to have the water that is critical for the industries that have been mentioned here, and also be able to create more opportunities for young people and also for the country to be able to grow. You also need scientists, because especially environmental scientists, because also we have a new phenomenon now whereby there's a lot of pollution in terms of our raw water sources, which then makes it very much difficult to treat the kind of water that we have to put it into potable standards. And also we've got learnership programs. I think even now there are ones that I saw from Rand Water that are out, also from Mahalis Water. But the main focus areas is more on engineering, science, but also even the supporting skills, which is finance, is also critical, because it's one of the areas that we are struggling. So we need a lot of experts around financing, that is very much critical. And also the very new one, which I think is becoming a need now, the data specialists, people that know how to analyze data, people that are able to use technology, because we need technology now in order to assist us to deal with the issues of your leak detection, so that we eliminate this high non-revenue water that we are experiencing. And also there are opportunities around the water recycling. I mean, now we cannot continue the way we're doing things. We need to make sure that the wastewater is recycled, and that is a business in terms of tapping into that. Also, the smart monitoring. We cannot now continue to have physical people all the time going out on site, which means we need our youth in the house to make sure that they equip themselves along those skills which are really required within the sector, so that we are able to do better in terms of that aspect. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Spongseni. And back to you, Pindile. So in the context of South Africa's just transition, how do we make sure that young people, especially those from the underdeveloped communities, are not left out of the green and blue economies? Thank you so much.
No, thank you, Program Director. I think from the PCC's perspective, a just transition is about leaving no one behind and ensuring that poor communities are taken into account and are taken as being part of this transition, to a low carbon economy and also to a climate resilient society. And essentially what this is about, it recognizes that, climate resilience and equitable access to water resources and improved livelihoods must be part of a just transition in the country. And, poor households and communities and poor communities, are often, the first people to actually experience, some of the harsh impacts of water shortages and water insecurity. So it's important that, they are taken into account in this just transition. Essentially, in the past, the just transition has been focusing quite a lot around ensuring that those who are employed in the coal-intensive sectors, for example, in the energy generation sector, have got career transition pathways once we transition to a renewable sort of energy system. But I think as the PCC, what we are recognizing is that, a just transition should also take into account those who are in climate adaptation sectors that actually also need to ensure that, there's sustainable future, employment opportunities available, especially to young people, in terms of us implementing a just transition in the country. We did a piece of work within the PCC to try and understand, the nature of climate adaptation work that is currently underway in the country, and to look at what are the skills that are needed, in the climate adaptation sector, and what are the career, growth opportunities that are available for those who are implementing that, work that is increasing adaptive capacity in the country. And what we've found is that, work within the adaptation sector is not often taken as part of the mainstream economy. We've got programs, for example, such as Working For programs, which are aiming at protecting, ecosystems like wetlands, removal of alien invasive plants. But what we've noticed is that there aren't any career pathways for the people that are employed within that sector. It's often linked to funding availability. It's often linked to short-termism with short-term contracts of about 6 months. But post that, there is no mechanism to absorb those people into the mainstream economy. And we are actually trying to enhance that and actually ensure that those conversations, we create dialogues with the relevant skills providers, with the relevant, government departments, to ensure that these discussions are taken into account, and how do we elevate adaptation work and adaptation employment creation programs to be able to be more sustainable, more longer term, with clear, professionally recognized career opportunities available for young people. So I think essentially for us, within the PCC, a just transition is also about taking that into account. And yeah, that's where I'd like to leave it. Chair. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Pindile. So at this stage, we're going to take questions from the floor. And we have about 5 minutes for questions. So I want to hear your ideas, your frustrations, and what opportunities do you see in the water sector and you have the whole panel. So let's take the first question. Okay, I see a hand on the far right. White, and then there's a lady with a red jacket. So we'll start with the white top and then the red top.
Hello, everyone. My name is Bonatara Malope. I'm from Orbit TVET College and I'm studying robotics. For the water sector, my question is, how is the water department going to collaborate with robotics and AI as the country is being introduced to the fourth industrial revolution? I heard Mem right there talking about we lose water by pipe bursting. As a robotics student, we come up with ideas to solve that. And you guys need to collaborate with us. So my question is, what's your plan to collaborate with robotics AI as the country's been introduced to the fourth industrial revolution? Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think that was a good question. And I'm going to give it to TCTA and Mahalis. Sibongiseni?
Yes, no, thank you very much. I think that is a very good question in my view. Like I've indicated, that is exactly what we need at this stage, whereby we can have improvement in terms of how we do business, because we really need to align. So in terms of the plans that we are having, for example, we have the conference, our sister conference, that is in November, I think is out now. So the colleagues that are having solutions, I think they should look out for such opportunities so that they are able to actually make sure that there is that collaboration, because once it comes from that level, then it becomes easier, because that's where the water sector is going to be meeting, and we are able now to meet all the innovators and all the people that are having this solution. But of course, they can also make contact with us so that we are able to evaluate. But of course, we will also still need to make sure that we comply with the legal prescripts in terms of the solutions that are there, because you cannot just take someone and then go with that solution. You need to make sure that it's fair, it goes out to the public, and then they can compete, because it might happen that she is not the only one that has got that solution. Hence, now you need to open it up to everyone. But I'm saying those kind of conferences, it's very critical that they make sure that they attend and then they present their solutions to such. But we are making sure that we collaborate with all those that are that are having solutions for the challenges that we are having. Thank you.
Thank you, Sibongiseni. And Wanda?
Thank you very much. That is indeed a very good question. My answer would be that actually I'm aware that the Department of Water and Sanitation is exploring such ideas, but I don't know how, at what stage it is at. It's something that's certainly been spoken of. And also as TCTA, we do have a program, it's a CSI program, that is called Youth Entrepreneurial Development, that we take from province to province. We just completed a process in KZN. This time next year it will be another province. These are ideas that we would like to see in that program, because if you manage to get to win, it's more like a competition how we do it. If you do manage to win, then you get an opportunity to further develop. We give you funding to further develop your plan, as well as giving you some publicity which means then you can be discovered by other players who might want those solutions. But as my colleague is saying, we must also remember that in the area of development, you have to meet the legal prescripts. Because even if you might have the best idea, if it is not patented and it is being contested by others, government will also find it difficult to work with you. But it's wonderful. I certainly hope you are the one that's doing that, and many other young people. This is an area that we can look at of AI. It is a growing environment. And I think as one of the speakers said earlier, an entrepreneur is somebody who looks for solutions where there are challenges and would love to see those solutions. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Wanda. I think it's quite clear that the spectrum is very wide in the water sector. And at this stage, we'll take the second question, and then we'll take the responses from the floor before we close. The lady with the red jacket, over to you.
I'm not the lady, sir.
Oh, sorry.
But
my apologies.
But I get it. I'm too handsome. I get it. My question. By the way, I'm Motsepeng. I'm also from Rustenburg campus, Ovid. My question is to the COO of Magalies Water. Your infrastructures are aging. You know the leaks exist. You know the pumps fail. Yet the response is always emergency repairs rather than preventative maintenance. Why is there no dedicated ring-fenced capital budget for replacing critical pipeline sections in Rustenburg? And if there is, why hasn't it been spent yet? Thank you.
Thank you. That question is directed to the Magalies Water. So over to you, sir.
Yeah, no, thank you very much for the question, which is a bit more operational, which is fine. Yes, I think it's what I've indicated when I was making input here to say the unfortunate situation that we are dealing with is that we are dealing with an age infrastructure which needed to be replaced some time back. Unfortunately, there were delays in terms of that. But Magalies Water, in relation to the network which supplies Rustenburg, Magalies Water is in a process of replacing the majority of those pipelines that have actually aged, and also refurbishing and upgrading the infrastructure which supplies the area of Rustenburg. So there are plans in place to make sure that there is improvement in terms of the turnaround times also of those leakages which needs to be attended by our maintenance teams. But the unfortunate part is that the infrastructure in many areas is really old, hence now it keeps on breaking frequently, but we are dealing with that so that the reliability of supply can actually get to the levels that is expected by everyone, even the businesses, because we do acknowledge that when there is issues, then it affects everybody in terms of water supply, and it impacts the jobs and so on and so forth. Thank you.
Thank you, Sibongiseni. I think that was quite helpful. Unfortunately, we have run out of time. We're actually over the time limit. So feel free to connect with our panelists after this session. They will stick around, and I appreciate if you give them the last round of applause for their sterling work. Thank you so much. And over to you, Ms.
Thank you so much. Masbonge is very brand conscious, or maybe he's just really so into their brand that the two people that he called were wearing white and the other one red. So staying true to the brand. Did you see that? No, seriously. I just happened to pick it up because I love branding. For those who've been following me over the years, you'll know that wherever you see me, you will always see yellow. It's always there, you know. So Coca-Cola, red and white, bo Chief Mureki Barona this afternoon, or for this conference, starting to until tomorrow. So we just want to thank them once again. And so many lessons I'm learning from our Chief Mureki, Coca-Cola Beverages, South Africa and global, that you never stop selling yourself. I was telling some people that, how is it that some of us, sorry, I thought I hit it right at the back there. How is it that some of us would stop marketing our services when a brand that's known by everybody in a village, rural of ruralest, you will find this brand, Coca-Cola, but they still keep on advertising. And I thought, this is very interesting. But then Hector will stop advertising himself, not known by anybody. Yo! So we need to keep on selling, especially for those of you who are in business. Keep on selling, young people. The commissioners, are there ward councillors here, guys, from the area that we are in right now? Because I noticed we didn't acknowledge Mukanselara. If there's a Mukanselara what this area, please, I've been asking, and it looks like there's no councillor, but if you know them, please let me know. The commissioners, thank you so much that they got to be acknowledged. We didn't do that earlier on. What I learned from the last two panels, one is that waste is wealth. Young people, waste is wealth. Can we say it together? Waste is wealth. And the second one that I've learned from this last one is that water is life. Let's go. Water is life. Because without it, we won't have Coca-Cola. Anyway, we won't have so many things. So water is life. So on that note, we are about to get the commissioner from Presidential Climate Commission to come and give us a very short presentation, because the next speakers know that they are between us and lunch. So they've been briefed that not keep it nice and short. But before we call him, we just thought we should do a little advert break from Brand SA. They are here as well. Brand South Africa, one of their logo is there as one of Bareki, one of the sponsors, one of the partners, Brand SA. They're saying that they have a competition going on, but that competition is linked to you doing something. Shall we fly it? That code from Brand SA. Do we have it over there? The code from Brand SA. What you just need to do with your phone, you just take a picture of it, then it will give you a form. Please, each one of us fill in that form. It's a very short form, and you stand a chance of winning a fantastic prize for just simply filling in that form. Do we have it ready? If we do not have it ready, please work on it, and then when I come back later on, we're going to flight it. That's from Brand SA. I've always been confused between Brand SA and Proudly South African, but what's going on here? And I like how it was explained to me that, no, Hector, look at it this way. You're talking about branding. Brand SA is looking at South Africa as a brand, nation's brand. So it's about a nation brand as well as the country's brand reputation. When others look at us, what do they say about us? And I know they have a very huge task at the moment, a very huge one. At the moment, is South Africa xenophobic or what? So they have to work very hard to deal with that perception. So Brand SA, thank you so much. So guys, we'll work on getting that. I thought that it would be there by now. And then also, maybe just to hoy in a winner of something, ladies and gentlemen. During tea break, when you were out there, some of you went to the Stanlib stand. And you were filling in some things. So you can come and collect your prize from having been there and participated. I'm going to call Kiamukhetwi Sakara to come and win. She wants something from Stanley. Come and get your prize. Where's that prize? Somebody, please bring that prize quickly. Where is that? From one of us, Bumureki. Bumureki, please. Make sure that the young people go home with something. Bring me that prize. I thought you guys are saying it's here, it's been brought. Where is it? And as she's coming with a prize, may I ask Bongani Putswani? Bongani Putswani will just spend 2 minutes on stage. Okay, You go home, we're going to give it to somebody else. Kiamo Yetsa Sakara, is that you? Aha, that's the prize. Aha, aha. Gwen, huh? Oh, Kiamo Yetsa guy. Otochise, Otaikutra. Wabona, I told you about people who drop out of a one-day course. I told you in the morning that some people they come in on a one-day course, but it costs like a 5, and not have a school local lunch. What do you want? I think we'll have to find another winner. And this one, I mean it. If she's not here or he's not here, we run it again. Outside, we are coming to school. What daughter? We are going to toilet. What tube? Nix. I'm one of those kind of students. They dodge the class and they chill there and are behind the toilet smoking. No. Okay, Bongani, do your thing. We'll try again later with this prize. Leave it here. Leave it with me here. Leave it here with me.
Good morning.
Okay, Bongs.
Good morning. Good morning, Sanbonani. I know you can do better. Sanbonani. Ninjani. All right, let me maybe use this one. Does this one work? Beautiful. My name is Bongani Putswane. I'm a young man all the way from Pietermaritzburg. I've been given an opportunity to just come and share a bit about my journey, a bit about my story, because today we're also celebrating Youth Month. Bongane was brought up in a city called Pietermaritzburg Street, and in my area, in Prince Alfred Street, there was prostitution. In my area, there was drugs. In my area, there were young people who had no future. They even said, there's nothing good that can come out of my community. But look at me today. I'm a product of somewhere. I'm a product of Pietermaritzburg. So, in a very young age, as Bongane Putwane, I looked up to my brother. My brother used to steal cars. My brother used to break into people's houses. Until one day he broke into someone's house and they killed him and they shot him beyond recognition. Everybody said, Bongane Putwane, you're just gonna be like your brother. And in a very young age, I was addicted to petrol. Yes, the very petrol that you use for your car. I was addicted to petrol for more than 3 years. I was sniffing glue, sniffing benzene, sniffing marijuana, doing drugs. Teachers in school told me, a teacher looked at me at one point in my school. She told me, Bongane Putwane, you'll be nothing in future if you don't change your life. Grade 8, I failed it. Grade 9, I failed it. Grade 10, I failed it. Grade 11, I repeated. Matric, when I got to matric, I thought I'm going to make it. Unfortunately, I was not in the paper. But today, I'm coming to tell you that today you can Google Bongane Putwane. Today, you can find me on ChatGPT. Because why? I made a decision. Young person, let me say this to you. The word no means next opportunity. Don't allow anybody to tell you that you will never become something. Today we are traveling the world. I've never thought in my entire life that I will be speaking in Sun City. But look at me today addressing doctors and lawyers. Look at me addressing innovators. Because why? As a young man, I made a decision. The word fear has 2 meanings. The first meaning of fear says, forget everything and run. The second meaning of fear says, face everything and rise. Young person, believe in the dream. Young person, don't allow your environment to determine your future. You are born looking like your mom and dad, but you're going to die looking like your decision. Your past is a place of reference, but not a place of residence. Stop staying in your past. There's more into you. As I close off with this. Today, by the way, let me just throw in this. I'm so passionate. I didn't know that I have a gift. By the way, I'm a youth pastor. I travel the world. I speak to young people. I go to schools. I've been to over 150 schools in South Africa, speaking the message of hope, speaking direction, speaking against drugs. So, young person right here, you never know who's in the room who can impact your life. Your network is your net worth. As I close off on stage, can I have one volunteer quickly? One, come quickly, come quickly. I know sokuluma nawe. That dream of yours, you can't allow anxiety and depression to stop you from becoming what you need to become. So for example, this lighter is lighting. It's serving its purpose. But if I put it inside the cup, if you're gonna allow anxiety, low self-esteem, failure, abantu bazothini syndrome. Lalela. You gotta believe in yourself to the point. If you're gonna allow your background to define where you're supposed to go. We are sick and tired of poverty. This generation, we need to raise millionaires. We need to raise people who will make a difference. If I take out this lighter, it's not gonna light because of the environment. This one, it's lighting. Today, Green Youth Indaba brought opportunities to young people who are saying, for too long I've not been lighting. For too long I've been seeking for opportunities. But the moment you find yourself in a room, you're gonna come back to light. Because you know why? You're in the right room. So thank you so much. My name is Bongane Putswane. I'm an author of 2 books, A Boy Who Couldn't Read and Write. Today, I'm a best-selling author. Your story can change, young person.
Thank you, Bongs. Thanks so much, brother. Thank you, volunteer.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. Volunteer has a name. What's your name, sir? Mang? Nkosana. Okay, siyabonga Nkosana.
Sibonga kakhulu. Batwana lukweletse la funda. Ukukhuluma. Kusho ukuthi. Yazi isiZulu, I had to learn it by force in Joburg because it looks like it's the official language of Joburg. So I was fresh from Mahikeng, where I used to work for Radio Bob. We were just talking Setswana all the time. Then I arrive in Joburg. I was working for Kaya FM at that time. I get into a taxi, and the taxi is moving, taking me to Rosebank from Midrand. And then I said, "Kya follow her?" The taxi kept on moving. Hey, kya follow her? And then I asked this guy next to me, he says, "Speak Zulu." Kering. He told me, and I heard him with my Zulu, with my Tswana ear. Kya hleka? Uhleka. Kanti hona lehlika. Lehleka. Yes, uzofunda ngenkani. Uzofunda ngenkani. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Andile Mlambo, Commissioner at the Presidential Climate Commission, and they are one of Bumureki, one of our partners, one of our sponsors. Andile, I know we kept you very, very long. And like I said, we're working towards lunch. Just last 3 items, and then we're going to have lunch. Please, young people, don't worry. You're going to eat. We are at a conference. You need to focus. You know, you can ask the politicians when they used to work in Little Tatembeki, they would work up to 3 a.m. And the next morning they're expected at 8 to work at Parliament. Sure. It's a
Thank you. Okay, I have to be that guy now, you know, before lunch, he has to speak, you know. It's going to be something else. But shout out to Bongani, Putsani. I think he deserves a round of applause, another one. And to the young people, Wola, Eta, Pambili, youth Pambili, Pambili, just transition Pambili, Pambili, skills and jobs Pambili, Amanda, Eta. My job is difficult but easy because it's coming before lunch, so I won't be long. I promise I won't keep you. So it is a great honor to join you here at the Green Youth Indaba, you know, a platform that has become one of our country's most important spaces for youth dialogue, innovation and action on climate change and sustainability. I want to begin by acknowledging the key stakeholders in the room, which is young people. You know, this is your month, and we must be celebrated. And I thank you very much for all the colleagues who've been asking, young people asking questions, engaging, because this is your month, and this Indaba is for you. Many of you are not waiting for permission to lead. You're already organizing in your communities, you are building youth movements, you are creating enterprises, you are using technology to solve problems, you are asking very difficult questions of those in power, like we saw since morning. You are pushing institutions to move with great agency. We are reminding all of us that climate change is not an abstract environmental issue. It's about livelihoods, it's about food, it's about water, health, homes, dignity, and the future of this country. For that, I want to say thank you. Today, I've been asked to speak on the theme, from climate activism to economic agency, young people as architects of South Africa's just transition. This theme is important because it challenges us to move beyond a narrow view of youth participation. Too often, young people are invited into climate spaces only to inspire, to mobilize, to protest, or to give testimony about the future they want. These roles matter. These roles very much matter, because climate activism has shifted public awareness, challenged complacency, and placed justice at the center of climate action. But activism alone is not enough. An important phase of our country's just transition must be about economic agency. It must be about young people having the power, resources, skills, networks, and institutions to support and shape the economy that is emerging. Young people must not only march to the transition, they must work in it. They must build it, they must govern it, they must own the parts of it, they must benefit from it. Very important. That is a central point I want to make today, that young people must be recognized not only as climate activists, but as architects of our country's just transition. A just transition is not only about changing our energy system. It is not only about reducing emissions. It is not only about new technologies, new investments, or new infrastructure. At the heart and core, the just transition is about people. It's about how we transform our economy in a way that protects the vulnerable, creates new opportunities, restores dignity, and ensures that no community is left behind. That's been a recurring theme. For our country in particular, it's very important. We're a country facing overlapping issues. We face high unemployment, especially among young people. We face poverty, inequality, and we continue to shape people's lives choices. We face communities that are deeply dependent on carbon-intensive industries for jobs, livelihoods, and municipal revenue. We face climate impacts that are already being felt through floods, droughts, and heat stress, food insecurity, and pressure on water systems. In this context, the transition cannot be designed as a purely technical exercise. It cannot be driven only by experts, investors, engineers, and policymakers. It must be shaped by the people whose lives would be most affected by it. And young people are the center to it. This is why we must ask a different kind of question. The question is not only how do we include young people in climate conversations? The question is, how do we redesign our systems so that young people can participate meaningfully in the green economy? That means looking at 5 areas that I've identified that I'm hoping to share with you today. First is access to information. Many young people hear about the green economy, green jobs, climate finance, but do not know where the opportunities lie, how to access them, what skills are required. Opportunities are often fragmented, technical, difficult to navigate. They sit in policy documents, funding platforms, procurement systems, CETA programs, municipal plans, or in private sector that are not always accessible to an ordinary young person. If we are serious about youth participation, then information must be democratized. Young people need clear, practical, and accessible information about where opportunities are emerging, what sectors are growing, what training is available, and what funding exists, and how to enter these pathways. The second one, very key, skills and capabilities. The green economy will require a wide range of skills. Some will be technical, renewable energy installations, grid infrastructure, energy efficiency, water management, waste management, sustainable agriculture, ecosystem restoration, electric mobility, and green manufacturing. Others will be entrepreneurs in management, project development, financial literacy, business compliance, digital skills, cooperative management, community organizing, and market access. But skills development cannot be a theory. Training without workplace experience does not solve youth unemployment. Certificates without pathways into jobs, enterprises, or income generating opportunities are not enough. We need stronger bridges between SETAs, TVET colleges, universities, employers, municipalities, and develop financial institutions where young people need apprenticeships, learnerships, internships, mentorships, and practical exposure, real demand-led pathways into the economy. Thirdly, and I know young people love this one, is the issue about finance. Very key. Young people cannot become architects of the just transition if they are permanently locked out of the capital, out of finance. Many young enterprises have ideas, commitment, and local knowledge, but they struggle with compliance requirements. Somebody raised it. Collateral, credit history, business plans, market access, and procurement readiness. They are told to become investment ready, but often without the support needed to get there. This is where development finance institutions, commercial banks, asset managers, grant makers, and government programs must work differently. We need finance that is accessible, patient, and developmental. We need support for early stage enterprises. We need project preparation support. We need blended finance, instruments that reduce risk without excluding young people. We need procurement systems that deliberately open space for youth-owned and community-based enterprises. Climate finance must not remain at the level of large projects only. It must also reach the local level where young people are solving real problems in waste, food systems, water, energy, transport, and community resilience. Number 4, markets and value chains. A just transition cannot only create jobs at the top of the economy. It must build local value chains and open markets for young people. In renewable energy, for example, young people should not only be seen as potential employees. They can participate in installation, maintenance, manufacturing, logistics, digital services, community energy models, research, monitoring, and local enterprise development. In waste management, young people can build businesses around recycling, circular economy, innovation, repair, reuse, and material recovery. In agriculture, young people can participate in climate-smart farming, agro-processing, water-efficient technologies, local food systems, digital platforms that connect farmers to markets. In water and adaptation, young people can contribute to catchment restoration, leak detection, early warning systems, resilient infrastructure maintenance, and community-level preparedness. The point is simple. The green economy must be understood broadly. It must not be reduced to renewable energy alone. It must include every sector where climate action, economic inclusion, and local development, they intersect. And number 5, and lastly, we must be the voice of decision-making. Economic agency is not only about income. It is about influence. Young people must have a voice in how policies are designed, how projects are prioritized, how finance is allocated, and how benefits are measured. Youth participation must not be symbolic, must not be a rhetoric. It must be structured, resourced, and connected to decision-making. This is especially important for young people in townships, rural areas, informal settlements, and at-risk communities. The young people who are most affected by unemployment, inequality, and climate vulnerability are often the furthest from formal platforms of influence. A just transition that is fair must close that distance. When at the Presidential Climate Commission, we often say that our country's transition must be guided by justice. This includes procedural justice, which means people must be meaningfully involved in decision-making that affects them. It includes distributive justice, which means that the benefits and the burdens of the transition must be shared fairly. And it includes restorative justice, which means we must address historical and structural inequalities that continue to shape the lives of workers, communities, and young people. When we apply these principles to the young people, they require us to be honest. Procedural justice means young people must not only be invited to events like this one, they must shape agendas, influence implementation, and hold institutions accountable. Distributive justice means young people must access real opportunities in the green economy, not only hear promises about the future jobs. Then lastly, restorative justice means we must deliberately support young people from communities that have historically marginalized, including rural communities, townships, and communities that are already exposed to climate risk. This is what it means to move from climate activism to economic agency. It is not a rejection of activism. In fact, activism remains very, very much essential. Activism gives agency to the transition. It challenges injustice. It forces institutions to listen. It reminds us that climate action without justice can reproduce more inequalities. But activism must be connected to a pathway of economic agency. A young person who mobilizes for climate justice should also be able to access training. A young person who identifies a problem in their community should also be able to access finance to build a solution. A young person who participates in a dialogue should also be able to see how their input shapes policy and implementation. This requires a change in how institutions work. Government must create enabling policy, coordinate programs better, and ensure that national ambition translates into local opportunities. The private sector must open value chains, invest in youth skills, support enterprise development, and move beyond corporate social responsibility and towards a more structural inclusion. SETAs and training institutions must align skills programs with real green economy demand. Development finance institutions must support youth-led initiatives with finance, technical assistance, and project preparation. Youth organizations must continue to organize, advocate, innovate, and hold all of us accountable. And young people themselves must step forward, not only as participants, but as builders. This is why today's conversation is so important. The Green Youth Indaba is not just a conference, it is a platform for asking, what kind of economy are we building? Who is building it? And who would benefit from it? If we are not deliberate, the green economy can reproduce the inequalities of the old economy. It can create opportunities only for those already who have networks, capital, education, and access. It can leave behind the communities that the just transition is meant to support. But if we are intentional, the green economy can become a vehicle for transformation. It can create jobs for young people. It can support townships and rural enterprises. It can build new skills. It can improve energy access. It can strengthen food and water security. It can open space for innovation. It can restore degraded ecosystems. It can build community resilience. It can create a new generation of entrepreneurs, technicians, engineers, researchers, organizers, and public leaders. That is the opportunity before us. But we must be clear, this will not happen automatically. A youth inclusive just transition must be deliberate in design. It must be financed, it must be skilled, it must be localized, it must be measured, it must be accountable. We must move from broad commitments to practical pathways, from consultation to co-creation, from training to work experience, from finance availability to finance access, from national policy to local benefit. This is a shift that we need. Let me close with a message to young people today. As South Africa's just transition would not only be credible, it would only be credible if it is inclusive. It would only be sustainable if it creates opportunities, and it would only be just for young people if they're not left outside waiting for the door of the future. And with that, colleagues, just to share one last thing, is that, from a South Africa's perspective, if you think about it, a young person to make impacts and everything that I mentioned here, it only takes 17 years. From 18 to 35, you only have 17 years to make the impact and make the change that you want. We cannot wait In a month of June, we're celebrating what happened 50 years ago. How many 17s can you count in 50? So we don't want to be left behind. So what is important is that we must act with agency. And what is good about this conference is that we have the leaders in the room. It is time to speak to the leaders and have them speak to us, because time is not on our side. And we don't want to find ourselves in a future where we are advocating for that young people in South Africa, you must be 45. We don't want to get to that part. So with those words, I want to say thank you very much.
Thank you so much, brother. Sure. Re a leboha. Thank you so much, Andile, from the Presidential Climate Commission. Thank you so much, talking about just transition and things like that. And they gave us those 5 points. Access to information. And I suspect with your smartphones, you should be having you are living in a better era where you are able to just Google quickly, boom, information comes out. So use your phone wisely. Salabella does this ceiling. And then number 2, skills and capabilities. FET College here. Ghana, what's the other one? The guys were speaking earlier on. Orbit College, the guys are here. So even the SRC team is all over there as well. Yeah, go get the skills. Like people we are talking about who can drop out of a one-day course. Finance and startup capital, markets and value chains, things like that. Kuri, be curious. When he was saying these things, Google, what is he really talking about? When he's saying voice of decision making, let Google or AI who can unpack all these things for you. All right, that gentleman, is he here? Kia Sakara. Kia Sakara, I think he came to me earlier on. Congratulations, Kia. He's over here. What's very free demand? Bar. Baby, it's a field bar. A field bar. Congratulations, my brother from Stanley. Congratulations to you. The lady, Norma from Stanley is over there. Kwena Norma? Okay. So is that another one? Oh, the box for it. I thought he's getting to. Congratulations to it. Barry, kya o lokela di cold drinky fela. Hey, young people, yo, alcohol. Yar. Bakang kama nka re tloelang alcohol. Yo. Nka kama ke batho. Okay, the last panel for today. And this one, wait for it, young people, before we go for lunch. This one features young people who are doing incredible things, but I do not want to steal the thunder of the person, of the moderator of this panel. I'm going to ask Nhlanhla Ndlovu to come back on stage, the training manager of Green Youth Network. So when we're talking no filter, what it really takes to innovate in South Africa. We can be talking innovation. Are you coming in, my brother? Yeah, talking innovation. But what does it look like? What does it smell like? So among us here, we've got innovative people. Huh? People, and that young man who was here on stage earlier on, what did you just think to acknowledge him? And thank you so much, Andile, for acknowledging that amazing firebrand who was here on stage, a great author, Bongani Putuani. I think let's acknowledge him one more time for his powerful presentation. Okay, his book is called Knocked Down But Not Out. I love it. Knocked Down But Not Out. Autiak, this is your show. This is your podcast.
Thank you very much. It's good to be back. Ladies and gentlemen, we're not going to take time this time around. We have a conversation with some people that are doing amazing things as we talk about what it really takes to innovate in South Africa. I would like to welcome on stage our first panelist, Don Chabo, founder of Kombe Grow Organic. Please give him a big round of applause. Next, I'd like to also welcome Urifile Mope, founder of IC Agri Plastic. And then finally, I'd like to also welcome Mamello Mofokeng, founder of Saturated. Mamello. All right. Okay, I guess Mamello is not here, so it will be the three of us, gentlemen. So, gents, innovation in South Africa. First of all, I'd like you to introduce yourselves, what you do, what are your businesses?
1 million, 2 million. Can you guys hear me? Okay. My name is Ncedo, the surname is Nsabo. Ndimqhine buquququ izijonga zithatha umlonje uphazima unondela. Umkhomaza uwelo lazikonjane kuphela kuba zozodwa ezikwazi uphatha umlomo benkomo zamakhomazi ngomlomo. I'm a farmer. I'm a commercial farmer. I'm from the Eastern Cape in a very small village of Aitutjwa. In the town of Aitutjwa, in a very small village of Iqombe. And I currently own and have founded a company called Uqombe Farms, which is mainly focused on agriculture. And under Uqombe Farms, we have Qombe maize, we have Qombe honey, we have Qombe veg, we have Qombe livestock, we have Uqombe everything. And besides from that, agriculture, we are also into medical research. Currently working with Emmanuel Kiyonga from SMU. We've recently discovered a cure for breast cancer, as well as Mr. Zanotu Mokotlimbi. And also working with Mr. Zanotu Mokotlimbi, where we are making prosthetic legs that are gonna be fit for rural area and environments. Wabo. And yeah, and lastly, I won this entire competition, by the way.
Yes, yes. He is actually 2025's winner of the GYI Innovators Pitch last year. Urifile?
Hi everyone. My name is Urifile Mope. I manage a company called Ice Agri-Plastic. At Ice Agri-Plastic, we more of how do we use plastic waste and make feeding infrastructure out of that. And part of that, we commonly what we use is your bottle lids and HDP. So we more of how do we use that plastic that's in the environment, mainly on communal farms, that can be used to make infrastructure that a farmer can use to farm better and also grow whatever animals that he has in his farm.
Thank you very much. So I have the first question I have for you, gentlemen, is this. Take us back to the first idea. What was the most difficult thing about getting started?
Okay. For me, let me take you back to when we started Uqombe Farms, right? So we started way back in 2014 when we were still in high school. Wabo. We normally used to get 2 rands on Fridays, and we saved that money and bought our first bag of potatoes and repackaged it and sold it to the community members. And back then we did not own any land, but currently we're operating on 130 hectares, which is 130 rugby fields put together. Wabo. And what made us to actually move from just speaking about owning a business to actually owning a business, making it sustainable and also profitable, was that we were committed to actually seeing what we were speaking about come to life. Wabo. And we did not just do it for the money, we did it for impact. Wabo. Because back then we did not own, no, in fact, we did not have any employees, but currently we have 57 people that we've employed. Wabo. And it all boils back to the passion that you have, Wabo. And also the deeper commitment that you have to see things through, Wabo. Yeah.
Wabo. Thank you, Matt. Reveal.
I think on my side, I come from a specialized carpentry point of view. So at that time, because we have been in a niche type business, we then wanted to now start something that will also be relevant. So from ideal craft point of view, we were doing literally furniture out of that plastic, your bomber spaces, and then we then shifted the thinking to say, okay, since that we see that agriculture has appetite, where do we fit and what do we actually use that we have? And at that time, I had a skill, I had machinery, and I just started.
Wow. Bashayela Nizandla. So we are having an unfiltered conversations. We did say no filters. Gents, tell us, what was the most difficult thing? You are young, you have big dreams, all about the passion, Wabo. What was the most challenging thing that you had to go through as you worked on your innovation and getting your business off the ground?
Okay. Can I be honest?
Please.
Brutally honest. And if I'm gonna hurt anyone in the audience, I'm
No
really
filter.
sorry.
No filter.
Okay. So one of the challenges that we've had, more especially within our agriculture businesses, is weather, Wabo. And then
Did weather get hit? I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
and then another challenge that we've had was a an actual myth that was actually a true. I mean, that was actually true that entrepreneurship is very lonely, Wabo. So along the way, I lost a lot of people who actually were there at the start, and I could not move forward with them, Wabo. And another challenging thing for us was actually making the difficult decisions of letting people go that we know that they had a lot of value at the start, Wabo. And for us who operate within rural communities, which are ruled by traditional authorities, the tribal politics, Wabo, it's another challenge for us, and it has been a challenge for us. And also another challenge for us is getting skilled workers, Wabo, and also another personal one that I had to deal with. I had to drop out of school just to see Ukombe farms grow to the scale that it is currently.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you. Whew. What do you feel?
I think on my side, the difficult thing that came to us, it was when one we lost our equipment through theft at the workshop, and another thing that it currently a challenge is how do you move your consignment. But it's only now that it took me 4 months to say, okay, where can I fit in the value chain, and how do I better sell this product. So now instead of us making a lot of stuff, we actually selling value to farmers to say, okay, I can do this 10-meter feeding trough for you, but now I require a deposit to navigate through buying material, and then that alone it puts us in a position to now not keep payment with hope that when we get to a farmer's it will be sold. I mean, the expenses that comes, your diesel, your accommodation cost that you are recurring just to sell a product. But over time, and through design thinking, we were able to sit back and say, okay, how do we look at this product from a farmer perspective, and how do we look at this product as a solution to semi-area desert? So we started now selling this product as something that when you actually buy from us, you're actually contributing to not only myself, but the person that collect lead from Coca-Cola, the buyback centers, your processors, and then that's us at the last value chain, which is we are actually taking that plastic and making stuff out of it. So I think over time, it's all about those hard lessons and how do you navigate them.
Can I just also add on what he said? So at Kombe back in 2024, we we're actually getting onto our 130 hectares. And it was the first time that we were going large scale, wabo. But drought hit and we lost everything, wabo. So it took a lot of discipline, a lot of commitment to actually pick it up again in 2025. Imagine losing a lot of money and then you go out and get some more money to wabo.
Start again.
Yeah, to start again. So yeah, that's been a challenge that we've recently faced as well. And because of that challenge, we actually innovated and came up with Ukombe Grow Organic. Wabo. So we faced a very huge challenge which costed us a lot of money, first of all, a lot of time and a lot of resources. But then we came up with a solution to the problem that we were facing. Wabo. And currently this solution is gonna be used by almost everyone now.
Wow. Oof. Now, as we're having this unfiltered conversation, I'm sort of having this question in my mind. And Urufila, I want to start with you then.
Okay.
So, as young people in South Africa, one of the biggest myths, one of the biggest things that we hear whenever you want to start a business is government needs to give us money. The banks need to give. As you started your innovations, did you get any kind of support from an external source to be able to get to where you are today?
I think on my side, it was mostly bootstrap. I don't have any formal or any funding that I got. I think this year, there's a company that I was, assisting them with their tire waste, that compliance and what. And then I think by Feb, that's where they gave me a 15,000 seed fund. But it was through my relationship with them to say, okay, you have got a problem with your tires. Let me sort it out, and then send it to West Peru. So through the commitment, they saw it fit to say, okay, let's see what we can do. And a part of that, they asked me, Urifila, what's the most thing that you need? And at that time, I wanted more equipment. And I did my list, and I bought those equipment. I did not go to any fancy bar or something. I just went and bought that equipment because it was close to my heart. It's okay. How do I build myself again from the ground? Because honestly, with us, we just need people to buy our stuff. Yeah.
Wow, thank you.
Okay, so from my side, you see this question of yours, can I answer it two-phase?
Sure.
So first of all, did I get any support? Did I get any money from anyone when I was starting any of the that I have and own? No, I did not get any monetary support. I had to actually use what I had and what I currently have to actually start a business. And then my second phase to that question was Ukombe. I named it after the name of my village, where I come from, where I was born, where I was raised. So the support that I got from my community, more especially my tribal leaders, was actually faith and also belief in the success of a young person. Wabo. So that's been with me from the 35 rand that we used back in 2024 up until this day. Wabo. And yeah.
Sure. So, and that question was really to demonstrate the reality, young people, that it takes you to make it happen. It's a sad thing. Steve Biko once wrote, "Black man, you are on your own. Young person, it only takes you to make it happen." And they are proof of that fact. Now, what is the one mistake that you regret making in your journey of building your innovations? Now you're talking about prosthetics, you're talking about curing cancer. What is the one mistake throughout the journey that you of your building your business that you can think of, that you if you were to tell somebody else, do not do this, what would that be?
What would that be? Okay, the one mistake that I regret.
Leave girls alone.
Huh?
Oh, sorry.
Okay, so the one mistake that I regret making, in fact there's two, Wabo. First of all, I'm dropping out of school just to see this through, Wabo. Because education also plays a role in your business life, Wabo, and also in your professional life. And another mistake that I made was not listening to my grandfather back in 2002, Wabo, when he was beating us ngesabhoko, Wabo, forcing us to go and plow his land to produce food for the family, Wabo. And yeah, but those mistakes have actually taught me a lot of lessons, Wabo, more especially the one you go of waking up at 3 in the morning, you shy just to go to Emasimin, but now I love it, Wabo. And I prefer going to Emasimin than staying in the office and doing paperwork, Wabo, yeah.
Wow. Urufil?
Yeah, I think on my side, the biggest mistake with building my innovation is to have expectations. And why do I say that? You see, graphic designing, it's quite something that's nice, right? You see a beautiful poster, you say, okay, I'm gonna spend my last money. Definitely, I'll get, business. And when you get there, zero. Even the planning, even the like, uh, it now becomes an eye opener to you to say, okay, maybe let me change my mindset. So today, when you send us an invitation, we're actually engaging you to understand, or you really fit in what we believe in as a company. And then, unfortunately, if you don't, we're quite, scared to now have that expectation going forward. Like, for example, we used to attend a lot of Farmers Day expos and what and what. Today, when you send us an invitation, we want to sit down with you and understand how are you going to, in a way, build our value going forward. And I think that's one of the things that and another thing, it was to have more consignment with hope that, you won't have stock in your warehouse, So now going forward, if you want our product, we'll tell you this is how we do stuff, and going forward, this is how we can move.
Thank you so much. Ngicela nibashayele nezandla. Hi. Ladies and gentlemen, please give them a big round of applause. Thank you very much, sir. And thank you for watching the Nhlanhla podcast.
Thank you so much. Okay. For those who are learning how to run the program, because we're really behind schedule. So I didn't say anything. I just said there. That's all I did. But you know what it does? It tells somebody already now your time is up. Feta. So sorry about that, my brother. But we're really, really behind schedule, and the young people are hungry. And when they are hungry, they can get angry. Don't worry, you are going to eat. We are here for we're eating information. Let's feed our minds, and then we're going to feed our bodies. You know, earlier on, when the Department of Water, earlier on, there was something that water and sanitation. You spoke about the war on leaks. I'm a South African who's lived a long time. Maybe I'll talk to the guys later. I saw a program one time called War on Leaks. War on Leaks. And I have a question, Kuti, what happened to that? Because I thought that was the brilliant idea. Apparently, they were going to hire unemployed young people, give them the skill on how to fix these leaking taps, because we're losing billions of liters. And then I suspect apparently there was billions spent or millions spent, but what happened to it? Just a question on my mind. So, right now, ladies and gentlemen, often young people dream of wearing suits, being in an office in Sandton. But how many young people decide that, no, I want to go wear overalls, go on a farm, touch manure, touch the soil? Most of them just want to have clean hands and wear suits, and apparently, real money. Have you seen something called NEMPO? Young people, have you seen what those guys drive? They don't drive, they fly in private jets. That's where real money is. And when you meet those guys at the mall, they'll just be wearing some shorts and all that. May not be wearing a suit like this. Broke. Young people, please, open up your eyes. Real money, farming, these things, artisan skills and things like that. I do not want to steal the MEC's thunder. But Northwest is known as the province that feeds the country with maize. It's known for cattle. Apparently, it's like the Texas of South Africa. And of course, apparently there are challenges on the farms and all that. You know, somebody who's a friend of mine is running a farm somewhere in Clarksop, and he says he's having a problem on the farm. When they are hungry, so I don't know, but that shouldn't discourage you from getting into this. And on that note, let me bring in somebody who has actual figures and information around this, the Northwest Agricultural Accelerator, building inclusive agricultural economies for young people. Northwest Department of Agriculture and Rural Development, MEC. Madoda Sambata, ladies and gentlemen. He is here with us to open your eyes. Oh, come on, the MEC is coming to talk to you about opportunities available in his department. Take out your pens. Let's go into farming, young people. You know. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Thank you very much. My only problem is that I have flu. So the voice is not that good. But this system would be a voice enhancer. Yes. Let me first acknowledge the leadership of the House of Traditional Leaders and Khoisan, both province and region, district of Bujanala, and recognize the Premier and my colleagues, MECs in absentia, recognize the organizers of the event. I thought that I was going to speak after lunch, but I was going to protest that because it's an activity organized for young people, if the MEC was not on time, they would have long protested. But the MEC was on time and waiting. Let me start, because you said this thing is televised. Let me start to one element. I'm going to abuse that. Let me start there. Look, the surname is not a tribe. The surname does not depict your tribe. The surname. And by the way, there's 4 dominant groupings, and the 4 plus 1, which is the indigenous groups, your Khoisan and others. In the 4, there's one called Nguni. It's Nguni. Now, in that group of Nguni, there's 4 categories. There's Zulu speaking. You must get my language. I'm not saying Zulus. I'm saying there's Zulu speaking. And there's Xhosa speaking. There's Swati speaking. And then there's Ndebele speaking. They form under Nguni group. Originally, the Nguni group comes from Central and East Africa. Originally, the Nguni group 4 comes from Central, and East Africa. Yeah, that's what we have. Now, I said there are four. It's Nguni, it's Sotho Tswana because it's combined on groupings. Sotho Tswana, that's why there's North and South Sotho. It's Sotho Tswana, it's Tsonga, it's Venda. That's what we have on those four groups. There would not be an Afrikaner or a British, because those would have grown up in the process of colonialization. Let me end there. What it means is that I'm responding to a group who would have moved out in George and moved up and down on a theme Yamabambe. And the first person they catch is a young person from Limpopo. And this young person for Limpopo is crying for his life in the hands of his people. And this is purely because of misunderstanding and lack of proper education on these categories. You would have remembered that at one time, because we are commemorating June 16, at one time in the East Rand dominant land in Gauteng, on a war between IFP and ANC at the time, when cornered, they will ask you, what is this? And this is a knee. They just simply ask you a simple question, what is this? When you say Yingqiniba, it means you are of Xhosa speaking. In Zulu, Yindololwane. And that would be the reason to be identified, whether you are part of those they were in need of or not. Now, owing to colonial boundaries, everyone is expected to have a proper documentation to be wherever he is. None of you would have been allowed registration or booking here if you did not have your identification cards. It's the same with an argument that says anyone without proper documentation to be here should leave. But it also a basis that not all of us are allowed by law to move around suspecting people that are not South Africans and who's South Africans. I'm talking about something that happened in George, that a South African, because of the language he speaks, had to be cornered by his own people because of the language. And this is one element that I wanted to start because I'm addressing young people. Tomorrow, young people, tomorrow is the 19th of June. Again, it's that day where in 1913, an act of parliament was passed on Land Act of South Africa. It was passed on the 19th of June, 1913. On the 20th, this is what Sol Plaatje says on the 20th of June, 1913, that a native in his own country woke up as a pariah in his own land because of the 1913 Land Act. So when you speak about agriculture, you will have to, by any other option, to talk to about the implications of that act. Agriculture is far more than farming. It is driver of jobs, entrepreneurship, innovation, food security, climate resilience, almost equal to your debate here, because climate resilience comes out of green economy. And like the program director had said, our province, Northwest, is #1 on poultry, or #1 in the country. There's no province that beat us on poultry farming. We hold the trophy of being #1. Ourselves and Free State are 87% producers of sunflower. Northwest and Free State produces 87% of South Africa's sunflower. We are #4 on cattle. And there's a difference between cattle and beef. Because a cattle is not beef. Beef is a product of agro-processing of a cattle, and then it becomes beef. When I'm saying we're #4, it's because you are also talking about an element of working from the primary product until the finished product. We're not that very well on that component, because Gauteng, that is below us on the number of cattle, it's above us on beef, because our cattle leave the province on trailers. They lose life in Gauteng, in Hittelberg. They come back to the province and they are called beef. What we are going to eat in lunch, what you will eat in lunch would be meat, red meat packaged in Gauteng, but of cattle from Northwest. That's the difference. So the debate you are having, it's also relevant on the basis that young people need jobs. Young people need jobs. And young people need an economy that has a higher level of absorption capacity, not an economy that grows, and on its growth there is not yield on job creation, as we have experienced the South African economy in the past years. It's always referred to as a jobless growth. But they don't just need any other job, because there should be a peaceful coexistence between economic growth and keeping and protecting the environment. That's where you come in handy as a discussion in the conference. In our case, you are talking about processing. In our case of agriculture, deep bushing fits well in your economy. And it goes to two sectoral programs. The first one, it gives you increase in grazing capacity, because by its nature, bush encroachment takes over land that could be used for agricultural purposes. Once you introduce deep bushing, you are then releasing captured agricultural land for purposes of use. And in this instance, one of the beneficiaries would be increased grazing capacity. The second one becomes water conservation. That's what you get out of deep bushing. But deep bushing and processing gives you animal fodder. It gives you compost. It gives you biochar. in this instance. Now, in agriculture, we're not only dealing with agriculture on the primary sector only. We're dealing also with agriculture up to the finished products. In actual fact, one thing that South Africans little remember is that all of you, the reason you left your rooms and came to the meetings because of agriculture. You only think that the reason there's agriculture is because you went to breakfast. No. If there was no agriculture, you would have all been still covered up in your rooms. The clothes we all are wearing are from soil. Yes, the clothes we all are wearing, irrespective of the type, are from hemp and cotton. The reason you were able to be proud of you and chair took stage to come here, it's because of agriculture. Under normal circumstances, you should still be naked in your room if there was no agriculture. This is the basis why young people must take agriculture very serious. There's 3 contradictory statistics in agriculture. The first one is that the age of farmers, it's at an exit age from 60 upwards. A normal age of a farmer in South Africa is 60 years. The next one, a normal age of an entry in agriculture is still a person who's opting for an alternative economy. Young people have to enter the sector on the basis that this is the sector where you are guaranteed that you are going to have demand of your product. For as long as there's human beings, there's going to be a need for agriculture. Young people could not participate only to risk their future as to who will be producing for them as they grow on the level of unemployment, because it's better to go and join a sector that produces, and it is going to help you to fight and curb food insecurity. In the process of opportunities for young people, innovation will be central to the sector's future, with young people leading adaptable technologies such as artificial intelligence, precision farming, drones, smart irrigation, and climate-smart agricultural practices. In this element, you would also have to add biomass. As biomass is recognized as one of the elements of renewable resources and closed carbon loop, meaning biomass carbon is neutral. The sector, as we speak, is currently engulfed with FMD. The only difference between FMD and COVID is that vaccinated animals are traded in red meat market. Now, as we are starting vaccination, it is going to be compulsory for everyone to have his or her head vaccinated. Because when you are vaccinated, you are given, they are tagged for identity purposes. And the identity only reflects that it was vaccinated. It does not reflect that it was once affected by FMD. The tag is to confirm vaccination status. In the near future, it would be difficult to trade on untagged animals on vaccination status of FMT. Once we all tag them, it is going to give South Africa a status again back of being recorded in the world, of being FMD free with vaccination. As we speak, 2 countries in the world have a status of FMD free. Brazil is FMD free with vaccination. Argentina is FMD free with no vaccination. As I conclude, young people are encouraged to join in the sector. And joining in the sector is not only joining as employees. We also are responsible for production of professionals in the sector through agricultural colleges, TVET colleges, and universities of technologies and normal institutions of higher learning. We also are responsible to ensuring that the sector does grow, and as it grows, access to food is guaranteed. We have a problem on this component, Honorable Chairperson of the session, that food insecurity is not only a problem of production. It is basically and dominantly a problem on control, on availability of food in the shelves on the basis of prices. Farmers can produce, retailers who determine prices of food can create high levels of food insecurity in a country on the basis of prices. Because when you are not employed, you do not have money to buy. The food you need once deposited in a retail has to be accessed through money. And when you do not have food, when you do not have money, you will not have access to food, and that is going to cause food insecurity. The greatest problem with food insecurity remains food dumping. South Africa has the highest level of food being dumped. And this food dumping does not take consideration on the number of people who have no access to food on daily basis. Yet, those that have food with them enough and more are easy dumpers of food they have. That's why a notion says, black people die of hunger, white people die of hunger, but the difference is that those that die of hunger do not die of hunger because there's no food produced. It is because the produced food, it's not properly distributed on the basis of competition going to retail shops. South Africa does have that challenge. And on behalf of the province, as Northwest, we're going to be here ourselves as South Africa on the end of the month, hosting the South Africa's chapter of Apimondia, which is beekeeping industry in South Africa. We'll be here in Sun City. Thank you very much for inviting us.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Sure. Thank you, MEC. Raleboha. Enkosi. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for lunch. Finally. But before we go, we need to know where we're going to be having lunch. We are going to do it this way. We'll have some a kind of a working lunch. So we're going to have those breakaway sessions because we want to do everything all at once. Now, the breakaway sessions are going to be this way. There is what you call Lopata Hall, from soil to shelf, unlocking youth opportunities across the agribusiness value chain. So that's at Lopata Hall, and thank you CCSA, Competition Commission of South Africa, for sponsoring that breakaway session. And then Super Bowl here. There are those who should remain here. You're going to dish and you come back here. Or is food going to be served here? Wamu? I'm trying to decode some of the stuff here that are going to be served here. Intergenerational dialogue, unlocking youth participation in the green economy. And thank you to the PCC for that sponsorship for this particular one. And then Sofala Hall, hackathon for the future, hackathon for future proving your youth. Hackathon for future proofing youth economic participation. Got it right. I got it right. Now, here's where we are going. No, listen to where you belong, partners and speakers, to Mukhuludi venue upstairs. Exhibitors to the exhibition venue, greenhouse venue. Principals and dignitaries to Suite 1 backstage. Media backstage, Suite 5. Delegates to remain behind the main plenary. People with special needs to remain behind. All clear? All clear? That delegates remain behind main plenary, meaning here. So we're going to be served here. So no longer that long walk to freedom. Sidlala. That's my understanding of this. Wamo, if I'm not getting it right, send WhatsApp fast now. So you will be served here. Sure. Yeah, so that's that. So it's time for lunch. The 11th Green Youth Indaba here at Sun City. Ladies and gentlemen, let's have lunch. And we're going to have working lunch as well, as you heard. So thank you so much. Bon appetit. Please don't go home. We are not finished yet. It's okay. Bafana, they are at work. Ba patelwa ho tshameka. Wena, your future matters. Come back.